Hey, I'm Melanie Johnson along with my co-host Jen Foster. We are both 13-time best-selling authors. We've published over 2,500 books and made all of our authors #1 bestsellers. We own Elite Online Publishing. If you want to become a best-selling author, look us up at eliteonlinepublishing.com. Now, welcome to the podcast that shares secrets from top industry experts that show you how to get lasting success and results. This is the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hi, and welcome. It's another great day on our podcast, and I have Jen Foster here, and I'm Melanie Johnson. What's happening, Jen?
Hey, everything's going great here.
Oh my gosh. So, have you ever had the problem like you're trying to figure out who exactly your target audience is? I mean, we've rolled around with that question, I don't know how many times, because we have different types of clients. So we're like, well, is it more men? Is it more women? Is it this age? Is it that age? Who's your demographic? Who is your target audience? How would you like to figure out who your target audience is in 180 seconds? I'm not kidding. I mean, this is like a secret formula. This lady has it going on. So we are going to talk to the magician, Juliet Clark. I'm calling her the magician, the audience magician. I just labeled her that. But first of all, we want to make sure that you subscribe to our podcast. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and share it to all your friends because we have super great content. We're compelling. And of course, we're fun. We have a great time while we're here and you learn something. So Juliet, welcome. Juliet Clark, welcome to our humble podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be with you guys.
So tell us, Juliet, a little bit about yourself and how you got into this platform building so you can help help speakers with their overcoming their audience obstacles.
Well, it's a sort of a long story. When you look back on where you've been and you kind of at the time you have no idea where you're going, but it all makes sense at some point. Out of college, I went into traditional publishing. I worked at Price Stearns Sloan and HP Books. And from there, I was given an extraordinary opportunity. I moved over to Juliet Advertising, where I was able to work on a $1 billion account, the Nissan account. And I was on regional, where every single region of the country had their avatars built a little bit differently, different products. You wouldn't sell in California what you sold in Utah, where Jen and I are. So, we had those regional ads. And from there, I moved on to Mattel Toys on Barbie and Hot Wheels. And in 2008, I decided to write my first book. Probably what I'm most well known for is I was going through a really nasty divorce and we lived in a smaller town and I killed my husband in the book. And everybody knew it because it was a small town, got my character description down really well.
Remember, it was in a book. It's not in real life, people. But how many ex-wives would probably like to have gone through that process? That's hilarious.
I know. I always tell people, when I wrote it, it was really cathartic. I'm blonde, so I don't look good in felony orange, but I do look good in royal blue. So if felons wore royal blue, this story might have turned out differently. So, but that first book was what kind of put me to where I am today because I decided, since I'd been inside of the traditional publishing world, that self-publishing would be really easy. I knew what to do. I knew how to do it. And I'm not going to mention which one, but I signed up with one of the big self-publishing companies out there. And right away, I was stunned at what they were doing. I mean, they were literally ripping people off and not selling them the things that were necessary to build a platform. They were selling them bookmarkers and, get your book made into a screenplay, even though no one's read it. So there were a lot of things that I saw that I really didn't care for. And when I wrote my second book, which I killed other people in it, I was a mystery writer. I was done killing husbands. I published my own. I said, I'm going to learn how to do this in this, this new world where we don't have offset printing. And so my second book, I started to build my own platform and I sold more copies than I did with my first book. And my third book sold over 25,000 copies. And at that point, nonfiction authors were bringing me their books. And the one thing I heard over and over was I wrote the book because I went to a business retreat of some sort. And I told them my products and services weren't selling. These were mostly coaches and speakers. Mm-hmm. And so someone there said, oh, the book is the answer. And I kind of shook my head with my marketing background and said, nah, this is just going to be another failed product. So that's what we designed. We worked with someone who designed this platform, and then we started using it with speakers to gather that audience before their book was ever sent out.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about that platform and how that works. And do they need to be a speaker? Like, do they have to be a speaker to start using it? Like, just explain kind of how it all works.
So you do have to be out. What it's designed to do is collect audiences in bigger rooms, which you can use it on social media. We have a lot of people using them on podcasts, radio shows, different places like that as well. Because as you guys know, having a podcast, everything's off funnel. iTunes owns you, and you know how many downloads, but you don't know who's downloading.
Right.
Per se. So it was really designed for that. What we do is we take the success principles of what you teach or, you know, what your product is, and we have people assess themselves on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being, or 0 to 10, 0 being I haven't started this yet, 10 being I've got this rocked. So by the time they get done with that, you know, it's about a 3-minute experience, they already know that they're not doing what's necessary to build the success they're looking for. So in the context of a talk, or, you know, before they make an appointment with you, it's really about, I already know I need you.
Mm-hmm.
And then what really sets it apart is we have a section that runs on AI. And that section, we ask those tough questions about, do you want to 100% solve the problem? Are you willing to invest? And would you set that appointment? Mm-hmm. And those scores spin off 3 autoresponders, which are high, medium, and low commitment, with separate offers in them. So of course, if you're high commitment, you want to solve the problem, you're willing to invest, and you would set that appointment, you're going to get my calendar link. Mm-hmm. And so they have essentially, they've learned that they know they already need you, and they've already pre-qualified themselves for your services.
Right.
So.
Right. And as a speaker or an author or an owner of a business with a product, you know instantly who your audience is, whether they're not a buyer or they are a buyer, or they're kind of interested and they want more information. Like, you're going to know those 3 things right from that 3-minute survey.
You are. And the great part of it is, if you're out speaking, it's in real time. Mm-hmm. So you can actually grab those, set appointments. We have several clients who use it in pre-marketing. So let's say you guys had a summit and you invited me in to talk. I would ask you to send it out in pre-marketing. And then I have the ability at let's say it like in an event even, to give those guys a call before I get to the event and say, you know, hey, Jen, I saw you were really high commitment. Thank you for taking the quiz. I have some 30-minute spots available at the event. Would you like to sit down and talk? So what we're really trying to do here is get people away from clicks, because clicks aren't relationships, and start the conversation with them. And that may not mean that they buy today, but at least they sit down, they know you, they see you, you're credible, you're knowledgeable, and the relationship has begun.
Right. I love that. It's like, it's just validating your audience before you meet with them, knowing who you're sitting down with.
It's that. And for some people who don't actually, you know, they're having spotty sales with their products, they can now begin to see exactly where their people are struggling because they're telling them. So that helps them create better content. But even more, it creates a situation where when I see those quizzes and I see people consistently closing, I can set those all aside and say, what do these people have in common that I can replicate?
Mm-hmm.
How do you develop the quizzes? How do you come up with the right questions to ask for every business owner?
We sit down one-on-one with them. So we have several different levels that you can go into depending on, you know, how savvy your marketing already is. But for someone who already has assets built, they have a free giveaway, they have some other things, we sit down with them and go through one-on-one. What does your program look like? What would be the things that these people need to reach success? And then I actually write the statements for them the first time. And they're more statements than questions. Questions are what got us in trouble with some of the things we've been doing that people don't bite into. Because when we ask questions, people feel a little defensive, like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
And we've actually had a couple people bring us quizzes that they had developed in other places where I'll give you an example, a financial planner. She's asking to an audience she barely knows, what's your yearly revenue? You know, what are your financial goals for next year? And if I don't know you, I don't want to share that with you.
Right.
So, you know, for those types of things, we've taken and we've used our quizzes, kind of the quick and dirty, get them in the door, have that consultation. And then if you'd like to offer them that deeper dive, that's where you do it once you've actually established that there's someone you want to take the next steps with.
I love that.
Yeah, give us an example of a statement. Like, what would a statement be versus a question? Because I think that even works for a sales situation, right? You're saying, well, you should ask questions versus just talking all about your services. You should ask questions. But I like what you're saying is you should offer, you know, make statements and then let them reply to the statement that you made versus a question.
Exactly. So one of them, I think on mine is, I am booking it, and it's always we, team. It's always in that vein. We want it to be very connective because remember, they're being self-reflective. So I have a fully built out avatar and I connect with that audience regularly.
So it's a yes or no kind of thing.
No, it's actually, they do it on a sliding scale, 0 to 10 scale. So, you know, I actually did like a double question there, but let's say I have a fully built avatar that I have validated. So that might come in at a 5. Like I have an avatar, but is it validated? Is it the right audience? So, so they're evaluating with the statements where they're at in that process. And remember, that 0 is I haven't started, and 10 is I have that avatar and I validated it.
Yeah.
So it really is an assessment, not a survey, right? Because surveys are usually questions, and an assessment is usually, on a scale of 0 to 10, rate this. Right?
Yes, exactly. And here's the thing with surveys, people don't like them. They've been just inundated with them. And you know what? One of the questions people can bring to us all the time is, well, can I go over and do this on SurveyMonkey? The problem with SurveyMonkey is, you guys know this because you're great marketers, but neurologically, you have 3 seconds to connect. And if you've got radio buttons and fill-ins and things that aren't consistent and static, people are just kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm mind boggled by this. So the way we do it is very consistent and provides them something they can really connect with.
Awesome.
And I think this even transcends. Jen and I just sent a survey out to some of our customers that we, some of our authors. And I'm just thinking, we called it a survey. So I'm thinking we did everything wrong.
We just had 3 questions.
We should have called it an assessment.
But have we had any response? None.
We should have said, what do you rate us from? Can you just rate us? And then they just click, give us a number on these things.
Right.
And that would have been so much easier, right? We probably would have get a better response. I'm thinking, oh man, too bad we already clicked the send button the other day. We need to we should have redone it.
Yeah, but here's the other thing you could have done with it. If you had used this, you can use this when you get the answers as a roadmap to what your next product is or what your next upsell is. So for you guys, let's say you sent it out and people had some skills that you guys, that they achieved while working with you, but they had some others that is maybe in a more advanced program. That's the time to transition and show them that you're ready for this upgrade into this next program or service. I have that quite a bit because I have an assessment marketing group program and I have a Launch Like a Pro program. So once they get into assessment marketing and they're ready for Launch Like a Pro, I put the other one in front of them to kind of see, now I need some work on this area as well.
Yeah. I like that. So I kind of want to dive into one last thing, which you kind of talked a little bit about, which was that books are kind of like a lost leader unless unless you're doing them or using them in a different way. So kind of talk about that a little bit and how they can sell more books by using your assessment.
So one of the things we know is a book is a $20 product. And at the end of the day, the book sales are great, but we're not going to retire to the Bahamas on our book sales. It's those other things that we're selling.
So it's your bigger ticket items.
Exactly. So when we put the book as the thank you page inside, there are those high commitment people who probably will set that appointment. Then there's that medium group of people who need a little bit of nurturing. They may be seeing you for the first time. Maybe they can't afford you right now. That thank you page, you have a nicely designed book page, and it connects over to Amazon. That's where they purchase the book.
Mhm.
So if you're speaking at an event and several people go over and buy that book, the algorithms of Amazon are keeping you up towards the top of that page as
Right.
book sales. So if you're out selling frequently from the stage or on your podcast or wherever you're at, you have the ability to drive traffic anywhere within our program, because it's a self-contained mini funnel.
I love it.
That's
That's
amazing.
great.
All right, so did you get that? So this assessment, not survey, this assessment that you can do from stage takes 3 minutes, 180 seconds, and you're going to get all this information. I do have one question. What is the percentage of people that will do the assessment when you're at stage and versus email? You're emailing it to them or sending them another way, because in today's time frame, 3 minutes can seem like forever, right? I mean, we're in the 8-second rule here of the attention span. So is it difficult to get someone even like to take 3 minutes out of your talk for them to do it? And are you getting people to actually open it if you're sending it to them like ahead of an event that you're doing and you want to get the information?
That's a great question. So one of our big speakers, Sunny Giles, is a paid speaker. When she used it at an event of 400 people, 137 people took it in pre-marketing. And for just the reason that you talked about, it's so hard to get people to open those emails. Now, when we're using it from the stage, we have a formula we use that gets a lot of engagement. It's incorporated into the talk. We're getting anywhere from 70 to 90% of the people to take it.
Really?
And it's how we position it. So remember that it's the success principles about what we're about to talk about and sell.
Mm-hmm.
So when you take out that phone and you have everybody in the room take out the phone and say, okay, I'm going to talk about XYZ, but before we get started, I'm really curious. How much do you really know about this topic?
Mm-hmm.
And then they take out their phones, and you have a couple slides. We have a formula with the slides where, you have something to talk about, because believe it or not, when you're up on a stage for 3 minutes not talking, it is the most, it seems like a year. So we have a formula that we work with you to kind of incorporate into your slides. So you have a little something it's not educating. It's just kind of in between chit chat.
Mm-hmm.
To get them to do. But we have a very high take rate from the way we position it.
I love that
strategy.
Well, and I really love that you can do it in the 3 minutes. And, we used to do the thing where you'd say, text your name and email to this and you'll get this free thing, or you'll get a link to my book. If you buy my book right now, I'll give you a free book or whatever, which all of those work. But at the same time, if you have this assessment first, not only are you going to sell books, but you're also going to know exactly who your audience is, who's the buyers today, and who isn't, right?
Not only that, we actually take what you were doing with the text.
Mm-hmm.
We have our people put their free gift inside of the quiz email.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't get it unless they take the quiz. And what's interesting about that is one of our speakers, Linda Grossix, she actually had several people come up after she spoke a couple weeks ago and said, I want that free gift, but I don't want to take the quiz. And she's like, you have to take the quiz to get the free gift. Yeah. So they went back and they took it. She gave him the URL again after the talk. But, she did that and she was doing it out of integrity for herself, because that information for her is crucial. And that's why I call it a smart lead magnet, because when we use it, we get a lot of information. And the old paradigm is, I'm going to give you a piece of my genius. You're going to give me an email address. You'll never open my email. I'll never know if you read my genius. And we've just passed in the night. Now we have something that's a little bit more connective, where as the entrepreneur, we're going to get a lot of information about who's buying and who's not.
Awesome. Well, is there a place people can go? Do you have testimonials on your website and stories so people can see kind of this working in action?
We do. So two different places. You can go to www.leadlogicquiz.com, and you can take one of them. And then if you go over to my website, superbrandpublishing.com/services, we have testimonials over there of people that have used it with success.
Okay, perfect. So we'll put those links up for those watching on YouTube, and you can check the show notes on our website for those links as well.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to start getting knowing our audience in 180 seconds. We're signing up for that. All right, everybody. I hope this was great content for you. Make sure you share it with whoever you think can use it, because we think it's awesome, and I hope it was valuable to you. Make sure you subscribe and share our podcast to your friends, and we will see you next time right here on Elite Expert Insider. Are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.